And I'm sitting here thinking, I've been reading Dr. John Henry Clark. I've been learning about the white Messiah complex.
I get it.
Like, no, Jesus is a black man. Like, you know, if God wanted, what, didn't Jesus, Mary and Joseph and Jesus, like, didn't they hide in Egypt?
Sure.
I'm not going to hide somewhere where I'm going to stick out. And I wouldn't hide you in Southwest Atlanta.
And
I'm just saying.
I love it over here.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
I get. I mean, there is something to be said about the lost biblical narrative of Africa, and that it features prominently in the Bible. Whether it's Egypt, whether it's Ethiopia. I mean, I'm just being that way. I think that's where the Ark of the Covenant is.
Yeah, I remember reading. Yeah.
And the little houses that monks that are and Christians often forget that. That's something we've been talking about, especially within Christian denominations in the United States. Somehow think Christianity started and began with them. You talk to a Southern Baptist, like my guys, Coptic Christians in Ethiopia have been around since they're old. They predate the Catholic Church. Indian Orthodox people predate the Catholic Church. Egyptian Coptic Christians, like there's lots of different groups that
I'm glad you said that, because I've often thought, like, a lot of these Southern Baptists, if they saw what the earliest depictions of Christ looked like, and just the fact that there was, like you said, the Coptic Church is older than the Catholic Church.
Sure.
You know, how would they even? That would, like, uproot so much in their minds.
Not as much as you think.
Okay,
I think if we were really willing to do it, the problem is that theologically a lot of times we just get very stuck, and we have very, very hard definitions of things, like what is the gospel.
Right.
I think when you look at, I use the example when Egypt had the Arab Spring, and some of those Islamic fundamentalist groups were kind of trying to buy in the government. And we're actually attacking some mosques that they thought were, who surrounded those mosques but Egyptian Coptic Christians who are protecting their neighbors.
Wow.
Is that the gospel? Because I'm pretty sure it is. Is that a verse in the Bible that says do that exact thing? No. But if there was ever a picture of that's greater love hath no man than this, and lay down his life for his friend, right? That's what we're doing here, right? And I think most Southern Baptists would agree. Yeah. That's Jesus said it. It has to be true.
Right.
So why do those? so why would you look at Coptic Christians and honestly, it's not even that you think they're wrong. You just don't know anything about them.
Right.
If I asked them anything theologically about their beliefs, they would be like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Wow. Oh, okay. So let's on to the next thing. Replacement theory. How do you feel about that?
I mean, again, it's a dog whistle. It's fear. I mean, we've known. In America, we should have known since the beginning, right? We should have known since, emancipation, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. We should have known since immigration started to pick up in the early 1900s that...
And even the idea of whiteness has mutated.
Sure.
Because I played a little bit of college basketball. I went to a school in Maine before I went to Georgia State.
Did you? Yeah. Where in Maine?
Presque Isle.
It's about one of the whitest places in the world.
Yeah, exactly. But where am I going with this?
Sorry.
No, dang, where am I going?
I don't know. Playing hoops in Maine.
No,
concepts of whiteness.
Yes. Okay, glad you said that. Okay, there were people that I met that were French.
Yeah.
But they changed their last names.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, like, you a white dude, what you change your last name for? But then as I started to learn, oh, wait a minute, if you weren't an Anglo-Saxon,
right,
you were otherized. Sure. And considered you're an immigrant or you're a Jew or you're the enemy.
Sure. Look at the way Eastern Europeans were treated. Immigrating. People from places like what we now know as Bosnia or Croatia or Macedonia or Greece or even those kind of Slavic countries, Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, those kind of places. Those people were treated awful.
Yeah. JFK caught hell.
Yeah. and so, there is that, but that still doesn't mean we get away from the narrative of what is U.S. history. You can't get away from the black and white narrative of what made the U.S. what it is.
Right.
Because ultimately, that's the overarching narrative.
Definitely.
America would not be the economic power it is without some of the dark, evil things that it's done. Like that, I'm just that's just the truth of what financially what slave labor did was build an economic empire because
with no overhead.
Zero that's just overhead. Economics, and I mean it's evil economics, but it's economics nonetheless. And then you're surprised when suddenly Marxist theory picks up. Look, everything's always a reaction to one another. If I were looking at that and seeing what happened in that lens, I might go a little Marxist too. I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying I can you have to understand why.
What? I mean, it's Frederick Engels. He said something that pierced my soul. He said, "All history is class struggle."
Sure.
So sometimes I wonder, ultimately, what is this all about? Is it about race or is it about class?
I would say one of the problems in America,
even though class has racial implications, is
that it's both, but we don't have that conversation, and it's because of something that we all know, and that's American individualism. We're so, and I think even as white Americans, as black Americans, we're all caught up in this idea of individual. We're told that from day one, whether we're watching cartoons or our parents or our teachers at school. Right. You're special. You can do anything you put your mind to. You're unique. And look, I'm not saying I do believe in a God. Everyone's fearfully and wonderfully made. Right. He counts hairs on our head. I understand that 100%. We are individuals. Right. But we are a part of a collective society too. Right. I mean, I use something as simple as the difference between societies. And look, I don't want to be all controversial, but COVID and mask wearing, right? Okay. If you went to Korea and you said, "Hey, everybody, put on a mask. We got a disease rolling around. Like everybody, put on a mask. We're pretty sure it's going to help protect people from catching it." 95% of the people in Korea are like, "Yep, put one on." You look at pictures. You go visit. Like everyone's wearing one. They're going to wear one till they're told not to do it again.
But so much plays into why.
Absolutely. But go ahead. Whereas then if you come back to America, you got people who are comparing it to like Nazism. Like the Nazi, this is what they did to the Jews, and it's like, what? Like. As history guys, like we're like,
this is totally not the same.
What did you just? What are you talking about? It goes back to Sesame Street. One of these things is not like the other. You've got to be kidding me, Jeff. Just because the school said you got to put it on to pick up your kid, Jan, doesn't mean that. But again, that's American individualism, right? That is we think.
But I think some of it is white privilege too.
Oh, I absolutely do. I think when I said it touches on both, I mean it can manifest itself in different ways. But I think both groups in America. I think white, like mostly, maybe Asian Americans, maybe some other immigrant groups. But I think since those are some of the we're the two oldest groups that have lived here, whether on purpose or not on purpose. That idea has come into play for all of us. That's all I'm saying. Is that
I got you.
When you add privilege to that, well, people don't ever want to think that maybe I got here not just because I'm good at what I do, but maybe there was something subconsciously.
America is not a meritocracy. I don't care what anybody says. But I got to go back to my good friend Karl Marx. Okay. Dialectical materialism. I think society in itself is just in a perpetual flux. Things that are, I guess, social norms now may not be 30 years from now.
Sure.
But I guess my thing is, as society evolves, like, where are we really headed? Where are we headed?
I would go back to, unless you done? Sorry.
No. I mean, just pretty much. Well, go ahead. No, say what you want to say.
I mean, I guess I'm speaking on the concept of hope, right? Mm-hmm. Where do I hope we're going?
Right.
I'll go back to what's this? Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Ta-Nehisi Coates, yeah.
So someone asked him once, doing an interview, because he can be super negative, not on purpose negative, but like everything he reports on. And he said, they're like, where's the hope in any of your writing? and Coates looks at him and he goes,
there is none.
He said, that's your pastor's job. Go talk to your pastor about hope. He goes, that's not my job. My job is to report on as it is, and as it is sad. So where's the hope? I think it's there, but for me, and this is where I break with Marx, on some things, but especially on this one, is that religion is not the opiate of the masses.
I think the media is.
Yeah. Oh, I think politics these days is the opiate of the masses. True. Because that's become the number one religion of non-religious people.
Say that one more time.
That politics, as for people who are non-religious, politics has become their opiate, has become their religion. I mean, you see the way people
Wow.
You know, people worship these leaders as if, you know, the second coming. And that's the thing, is that when I talk about politicians, you know, as a government teacher and as someone who, like, I tend to not have these, like, overarching fast and hard opinions. You know, when I talk about AOC, you know, I'm not like, oh my God, she's the future of America, or she's awful and she doesn't know what she's doing. She's a politician. She's probably trying to do a good job at what she does.
Right.
Yeah, I would say the same thing about, God, good Lord, take guys like Brian Kemp down here, who I'm not a huge fan of, but at the same time, he's a politician trying to lead a state. And
right.
I'm never gonna look at any of these people and go, they're the answer. You know, when you asked me earlier who I voted for, I just kind of told you. I told you in a way that I usually will talk about that, but I said it in a way that, like, I mean, I made a rational decision of one versus the other, and I said, okay, it could be a wrong decision,
right?
But I'm never gonna hold on to that to be the decision that's gonna change everything, because that's not. And so again, that kind of goes back to that quote I said earlier. My problem with Marx, and that Marx saying that religion kind of not having a place. It's that quote I gave you from Wendell Berry, is that, you know, supply and demand, you know, rats and roaches live under the laws of supply and demand. They live and die. They're crushed. But it's up to humans to live under the laws of justice and mercy, right? If we're living under justice and mercy truly, then yeah, there's hope. And I get it. I get. I understand that, and that look you just gave me is rightfully so.
And I remember one time you probably don't remember this conversation. We were in the courtyard at Georgia State, and you were talking about, I guess you were going to mentor some children.
I remember this conversation.
And I felt bad, like in hindsight, I was like, Zach probably thinks I'm an asshole. Because you caught me at a time where I had one friend that actually caught a federal RICO charge. I had two friends that had committed suicide. And I remember just getting into like this existential state of mind, like, why am I here?
Sure.
There are guys that were more talented, more intelligent than me, guys that I consider my brothers, and they're no longer here, or they're not free. And I just remember thinking, like, what? Like, I don't care about nothing.
Sure.
And I just realized, and I thought about that. I was like, Zach was really coming from a magnanimous place, but I had nothing for him.
Well, I mean, again, you know, we talk about post-traumatic stress with soldiers. It affects everybody.
Yeah.
And especially, you know, take kind of comparing that to, like, you asked me talking about playing football, and, you know, you didn't ask me the question, will Gus play football? My son, he will not, because I don't need him getting CTE, that brain.
Yeah, you know, they're saying there's a Marion something, I can't remember his last name, but he played for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
they found him
Mary Barber.
Yeah, and I heard they're saying that it might have been CTE is why he killed himself. And I remember reading, it was a documentary on the 85 Bears. And they interviewed Jim McMahon.
Yep.
And he was talking about how he had like all these suicidal thoughts.
Quarterbacks and receivers from that era? Are you kidding me? Like, those guys. I was watching it was a clip I saw the other day of the NFL. It was like a NFL Today on, like, in the 80s. And it literally, the headline of it was, every hit in this clip would be illegal today. This guy's getting jacked up. This guy's taking helmet to helmet, and back then everybody was like, "Oh, this is cool." But the point of CTE is that it's over time, right? Why was Muhammad Ali? Why did he struggle the way he was? It wasn't because he took one big hit to the head. It's because he took thousands, maybe millions of hits, and look what it did to him. I think, again, PTSD. It could be you went to a foreign land, something bad happened. But it also could be, what do 350 years, 400 years, however many years you want to say, of
subjugation, oppression,
all of it. I mean, all of it. What does that do to our psychology? And what does it do to both of our psychologies? Sure, it leaves me, I mean, I'm trying to be hopeful, but I have the luxury of being hopeful.
Oh, okay, well, two things. I remember Thomas Jefferson, I think it was the Virginia Letters, something.
Yeah.
He had said basically, like, we've been doing these people dirty for years. God have mercy on us. The retribution that may come back from that.
And go ahead, keep going.
You know, the retribution that may come back from that. And then, secondly, there is to speak to PTSD. I learned about I guess 3 things. Okay, I learned about epigenetics, which is just pretty much generational trauma. I look just like my grandmother.
Yep.
So it's like, as we inherit physical traits, we also inherit emotional trauma.
Of course we do.
You know, I think the epigenetics was actually discovered when some scientists did research on the Holocaust survivors.
Yep.
Thirdly, I would consider myself. Some people would say I'm woke. I just say I'm trying to find what's true. And one of the terms I came across was the MAFA, M-A-A-F-A, and it means the great tragedy. And pretty much the MAFA is everything that has happened to black people, from transatlantic slave trade to convict leasing to living in a police state to now.
Sure.
You know, and it's hard because it's like there have been so many times where I've had beef with black men, and I kind of feel like God was telling me, this has nothing to do with you. He's trying to process the same trauma you're trying to process. In the moment, I don't think that. It's just
Sure.
But I thought about it, like, damn. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Well, let me rewind a little bit to Jefferson. You using Jefferson, and I think it's good that you use that because that's Jefferson's who I often pick on. Jefferson is a good example of high-minded American liberalism. Not by that I mean that identifies with either the Democratic Party or whatever whatever they're called, the Bernie friends.
Yeah.
And that I'm not saying that they're all they're not wrong all the time.
Right.
But they're often disconnected. To Jefferson, I would say, then free your damn slaves, because buddy, John Wesley was a white pastor of the Methodist Church who his requirement, you met Jesus, you came to him. To join the church, the first thing you had to do was free your slaves.
Really?
That was required to join his church.
Wow, I did not know that.
Meanwhile, who do we think about when we think about early religious America? We think about Puritans.
Right.
We do the opposite. Jonathan Edwards talking about God and all this kind of his piety.